Today we are going to talk about the characters of Macbeth in the play Macbeth. We have Macbeth in our BA second year syllabus. Macbeth is a Scottish general and the Thane of Glamis who led to wicked thoughts by the prophecies of three witches, especially after their prophecy that he will be made Thane of Cawdor comes true. Macbeth is a brave soldier and a powerful man, but he is not a virtuous one. He is easily tempted into murder to fulfill his ambitions to the throne. And once he commits his first crime and is crowned King of Scotland, he embarks on further atrocities with increasing ease. Ultimately, Macbeth proves himself better suited to the battlefield than to political intrigue, because he lacks the skills necessary to rule without being a tyrant. His response to every problem is violence and murder. Unlike Shakespeare's great villains such as Iago in Othello and Richard III in Richard III, Macbeth is never comfortable in his role as a criminal. He is unable to bear the psychological consequences of his atrocities. Now, let's talk about Lady Macbeth. Macbeth's wife, a deeply ambitious woman who lusts for power and position. Early in the play, she seems to be the stronger and more ruthless of the two, as she urges her husband to kill Duncan and seize the crown. After the bloodshed begins, however, Lady Macbeth falls victim to guilt and madness to an even greater degree than her husband. Her conscience affects her to such an extent that she eventually commits suicide. Increasingly, she and Macbeth are presented as being deeply in love, and many of Lady Macbeth's speeches imply that her influence over her husband is primarily sexual. Their joint alienation from the world, occasioned by their partnership in crime, seems to strengthen the attachment that they feel to each other. The three witches, three black and midnight hags, who plot mischief against Macbeth using charms, spells, and prophecies. Their predictions prompt him to murder Duncan to order the death of Banquo and his son, and to blindly believe in his own immortality. The play leaves the witches' true identity unclear, aside from the fact that they are servants of Hecate. We know little about their place in the cosmos. In some ways, they resemble the mythological fates who impersonally weave the thread of human destiny. They clearly take perverse delight in using their knowledge of the future to toy with and destroy human beings. Banquo, the brave noble general whose children, according to the witch's prophecy, will inherit the Scottish throne. Like Macbeth, Banquo thinks ambitious thoughts, but he does not translate those thoughts into action. In a sense, Banquo's character stands as a rebuke to Macbeth, since he represents the path Macbeth chose not to take. A path in which ambition need not lead to betrayal and murder. Appropriately, then, it is Banquo's ghost, and not Duncan's, that haunts Macbeth. In addition to embodying Macbeth's guilt for killing Banquo, the ghost also reminds Macbeth that he did not emulate Banquo's reaction to the witch's prophecy. King Duncan, the good king of Scotland, whom Macbeth, in his ambition for the crown, murders. Duncan is the model of a virtuous, benevolent, and far-sighted ruler. His death symbolizes the destruction of an order in Scotland and can be restored only when Duncan's line, in the person of Malcolm, once more occupies the throne. Macduff, a Scottish nobleman hostile to kingship from the start, he eventually becomes a leader of the crusade to unseat Macbeth. The Crusade's mission is to place the rightful king Malcolm on the throne, but Macduff also desires vengeance for Macbeth's murder of Macbeth's wife and young son, Malcolm, the son of Duncan, whose restoration to the throne signals Scotland's return to the order following Macbeth's reign of terror. Malcolm becomes a serious challenge to Macbeth with Macduff's aid. Prior to this, he appears weak and uncertain of his own power, as when he and Donalbain flee Scotland after their father's murder. Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft who helps the three witches work their mischief on Macbeth, flees Banquo's son, who survives Macbeth's attempt to murder him at the end of the play. Fleance whereabouts are unknown. Presumably, he may come to rule Scotland, fulfilling the witch's prophecy that Banquo's sons will sit on the Scottish throne. Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft who helps the three Macbeth, Fleance, Yoga, Lennox, a Scottish nobleman, Ross, a Scottish nobleman, the murderers, a group of ruffians conscript, conscripted by Macbeth to murder Banquo, Fleance, and Macduff's wife and children, Porter, the drunken doorman of Macbeth's castle, Lady Macduff, Macduff's wife, the scene in her castle provides our only glimpse of a domestic realm other than that of Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. She and her home serve as contrast to Lady Macbeth and hellish world of inwardness. Donalbain, Duncan's son and Malcolm's younger brother.